What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, we bring him back again because I need some good juju. He has molded me into hammer some of these dogs to buy low when everyone's short in a team, and I have taken that strategy the last couple weeks, and I have been getting annihilated. These favorites are kicking ass and taking names. My main man, Stuckey from the Action Network. Follow Big Bets on Campus. Follow the Action Network podcast. All of our lines here are presented by our good friends and our partners at Hard Rock Bet. Stuckey, I think you were throwing out some numbers last week on the favorites and the overs. It's been a good stretch for people just throwing money on the good teams.
Yeah, favorites went. Fortunately, I didn't bet too many dogs last week. Who did I have last week? I had on Sunday, I had the Saints, who ended up turning the ball over a million times. But it was a Sunday that normally I would have gotten killed in, and I'm lucky that I didn't, because favorites went 11-2 against the spread, which is the best winning percentage on any Sunday. Or I guess for the whole week, they went 11-2 because Chiefs covered Monday, Chargers covered Thursday. That's the best winning percentage in any single week in the NFL since 1985. So,
oh my God!
Historic.
Okay, let's just dive right in. You know, this is your classic spot where it's like everyone out on Minnesota. They got some injuries. Carson Wentz just died, so hopefully J.J. McCarthy can walk. And JJ's back in against the Lions in Detroit. Now, this is, you know, he's a big deal in that area because of what he brought to the college. But there probably won't be many people rooting for the Minnesota Vikings just because they have JJ McCarthy in that place. This is the type number that I would have hammered Minnesota over the last couple of weeks. But my logic here is pretty simple. I think this season's about to really get away from them. And sometimes, you know, you screw up a quarterback situation because logic, like, I don't blame them for doing what they did, but it feels like the 49ers went through this. They got lucky. Brock Purdy, they drafted in the 7th round. He saved them. Sometimes you get in one of these situations, you draft a guy high, you end up letting Sam Darnold walk. All of a sudden, you got Carson Wentz dead on the ground, and J.J. McCarthy's played 8 quarters of his career in a year and a half. So I just think this thing, I get they have a good coaching staff, but it does feel like it could end here, and it could get really ugly against a team. We know how good Detroit is at home. I just think this is type spot with Dan Campbell, Kelvin Shepherd getting some LSU buzz. How good has he been?
He's been great.
You know,
He's been outstanding.
He really has. I mean, you've watched them the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, was it? When did they play? Monday Night Football
The
when
Bucks.
Troy Aikman was like, this is one of the most impressive things I can remember. I mean,
Yeah, they had a bunch of backups off the street playing in the secondary. He also had a really good game plan against the Ravens for how they contained Lamar, his legs, and without.
That was Monday. Was that Monday night or Sunday night?
Well, both. Like there was, I think Aikman was the Bucks game.
Yeah, he was.
And then, but a couple weeks before then, I don't know if it was a Sunday or Monday. I think maybe it would have been a Sunday. But
I think it was Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it could have been Monday night too. They did a really good job against the Ravens. He's been great, and they have a ton of injuries. That's worth noting.
I'm hammering the Lions here. I'm taking the Lions. This number could probably get to 10. This got a chance, Stuckey. This could get weird and ugly for Minnesota, and it could start early because, like you said, the defensive coordinator's been in his bag. We know Detroit is good on offense. Last time I looked, when's the last time Minnesota covered anybody?
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings should get Van Ginkel back, which is big. They've been using Dallas Turner in his place, and he's not Van Ginkel.
Does that have Bus Central written all over it?
I mean, here's the thing with McCarthy is what he's shown us. We haven't seen much. And by the way, you're right. Like, the Viking season easily could slip away because if you think about it this year, they have 3 wins. They came against Jake Browning, Dylan Gabriel, and then the Bears in week 1 when they needed to come back, and McCarthy only had one. He had that one good quarter. That's all he's shown us is one good quarter. If you look at all his numbers so far, they're bad. The company that he's with is bad. It's like some of the worst quarterbacks that have all flamed out. Now, the sample size is still small. So, he's taken some time off, dealt with the injury. Is he going to come back here? They have extended rest. Lions also on a bye. Is he going to come back here and look better? I don't know the answer to that. I think the number is a little too high based on where I make it, but I don't know if I can trust McCarthy. So I don't blame you for going with the Lions at home. Like Dan Campbell is just a cash cow, and that's all they do is cover. He's been great off the bye at home, indoors. Goff is almost automatic, and like the Lions are going to score on everyone. Goff's been great against the blitz. Flores is going to bring the blitz. He's really gotten the best of Flores over the past couple of matchups. The secondary injuries concern me a little bit with Detroit, but from everything I've seen, Detroit's going to score at home, and I'm not sure McCarthy can keep up. So I have no strong opinion on it as of right now, but I don't blame you for taking the Lions. Like, just take Detroit and cash 65% of the time. It's basically what Dan Campbell has done.
Tomlin has been winning for a long time. And I said a couple days ago on my podcast that we're literally on right now that, listen, I'm done ever saying like, oh, this is time to fire him. I don't expect the organization ever wants to say they fired him. But like, it does feel if his superpower, because now if you look, I think he was favored against Seattle week 2. They lost by 2 touchdowns. Last week, the second half, it looked the Packers are dramatically better. And now if you're at home again, back-to-back weeks, home dog, the classic Tomlin spot, a place where he was like 70%. If he can't win those games, and not only win those games, but if let's say he loses this game by double digits, like you're taking steps backwards because now we've seen him play Indy, the Packers, and Seattle, 3 high-end playoff teams. We already have seen him the last couple of years against the Bills and the Ravens in the playoffs. Not even close. We saw the end of last year. Kind of feels like we're seeing that again. Their defense is terrible. It does feel like it's starting to go, okay, is this thing really over? This is I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but does feel a little bit of a fork in the road spot, especially when you look at the way they've built their team. Like for his Steeler career, like if he's not winning this game, I think you look at the rest of the season, you go, maybe they're not going to end up winning the division. We're recording this before the Ravens game on Thursday night, but even the Bengals win this weekend. It's like all of a sudden he's going to have to fight to win this division. That's pretty crazy, Stuckey, and I think the Steelers are in trouble.
Ravens are actually favored to win the division right now at 2-5, which is insane. Like you can go bet that, and the Ravens are the favorites.
That is beyond insane.
It's crazy. Now the Ravens have a ridiculously easy schedule. If when anyone's listening to this, you already know the result of the game against the Dolphins, but after this week, this is the quarterbacks they face coming up: McCarthy, Gabriel, Fields, Flacco, Rodgers, Flacco, and then at the end, Rodgers twice. The end of the season, they host the Patriots and they go to the Packers. So like they could rattle off like 6 or 7 straight wins here, and the Steelers' schedule obviously gets tougher, and then the Ravens play them twice, so they can really make up ground. But yeah, this is the Tomlin spot that I trust. So I got to the window. You're right.
The back-to-back being home underdogs and losing the first leg.
That closed last week at 2.5. Like the Packers, I still have the Packers better than the Colts. Like the difference for me this week on why I'm trusting the Steelers is I still think the Packers are a couple points better than the Colts. Now, some disagree. Market might disagree. But the difference between the Colts offense has been historically good so far this year. Now, granted, their schedule has been pretty laughable.
Yeah. But still, they never punt, right?
Yeah. You got to play the Titans twice, where Jonathan Taylor has 6 touchdowns against the Titans this year. And they've played nothing but indoor games and 2 games in SoFi. Their only road game outdoors was in Tennessee when it was 80 degrees against that joke Titans defense. So this is like outdoors in some conditions, but the Steelers defense, it's bad. They're underperforming because their talent, like Joey Porter is a good corner. He's not playing well. You have Ramsey there. You have your defensive line. But now you lost your safety and Deshaun Elliott. I'm curious to see what they do if they shake up the secondary, if they shake up some of their coverages, because the defense has been really poor this year. But I think that the market's gone a little too far on the Colts, especially if you can get like
their DBs look slow. That's part of the problem. They can't run.
Slay is, I think, washed. They've been starting to swap him out for Eccles. The defense is very problematic. But so I don't think they're really going to slow down the Colts enough. You might get a classic like Pittsburgh voodoo, some turnovers here. Daniel Jones maybe overdue for one of those games. The Steelers also have a big kicker advantage in this stadium, which is the hardest to kick in the NFL, which maybe plays a role. But I just think the Steelers' offense can keep up. The difference between the Colts and the Packers, to me, is the Packers have a really good defense. And the Colts right now do not, because their corners are hurt. Travarius Ward being on IR, Jalen Johnson, their outside corners right now are extremely weak. They also are the worst in the league at defending tight ends. Well, the Steelers use multiple tight ends on 55% of their snaps. One of the most tight end heavy offenses in the league, and the Colts can't cover tight ends. Linebackers, safeties really struggle in that aspect. So I think the Steelers can take advantage there. They should be able to run the ball. Rodgers can kind of methodically move the ball down the field. The Colts don't have a pass rush like the Packers either. So I think the Steelers can keep up here. I think it's too many points. For what it's worth, when Tomlin closes as a dog of 3 or more, he is 40, 21, and 3 against the spread, 65.6%. Most profitable coach of all time in this spot. 11, 2, and 3 against the spread at home, covering by 8 points per game. That's 85%. And when that opponent has a winning percentage of 60% or more, 10, 1, and 1 against the spread, covering by 10 points per game. This is the rah-rah spot. This is off back-to-back losses. You could have said that about last week, and yep, you would have been wrong. But history says that he covers these more times than not. And I just think that the line is too high. I think that this should be slightly under 3. So I took the field goal, especially if you can get like 3 and a hook, even if you have to pay for it a little bit. I do like that. And a lot of it has to do with the matchup of the Steelers offense versus the Colts defense. We'll see if Austin and Tomlin can cook up something defensively, because nothing really has been working. I mean, yes, they won at New England, but it took like 5 turnovers to shut that offense down. They were moving the ball. That defense definitely has problems. They're going to need Watt and company to cause some turnovers to slow down the Colts this week. But I think the market's gone a little bit too far on the Colts. But I've been wrong before, but I did bet the Steelers.
They didn't even sack. I mean, now granted, they hit him a couple times and he pulled off some miraculous throws, but no sacks. It's like, man, we're paying a lot of money for this D-line, TJ. We need you to be, Myles Garrett or something here.
Yeah, I get why they paid Watt. I would not have.
He's been very hit or miss. When he's been good, but he's also been in MIA and he's been like an older player.
Yeah. And then all that money at his age right now, where it's like, it feels like a team that needs to just blow it up eventually and start over. You got to find your quarterback of the future, but they're like hanging on. If you're a Steelers fan, it's like, how many years are you going to be 9-8, go to the playoffs, lose your first game? I mean, the last time they won a playoff game was in, 2016, maybe?
A long time ago, yeah.
So It's been like the same story ever since Big Ben retired. And even at the end of Big Ben's career, it was kind of the same. And, now they have Rodgers. I just heard them say they want Rodgers to come back next year. It's like...
Well, he has been the least of their worries, but it hasn't... The other thing is it hasn't got cold yet. Remember last year it got cold, and they're different players. Obviously, Rodgers better than Russ, but you look at their schedule, he's going to be playing in some cold ass games in November and December. So we'll see.
That's fair. It's a good point.
Something for me to keep an eye on. Yep. This is a unique game, and I told you this before we hit record. This isn't a perfect parallel, but like when Jim Harbaugh was hired with the 49ers, forever it was like, God, the 49ers have a lot of good players. They just need a real coach. They could be a frisky team, be like a wild card team. All of a sudden, midway through the season, it's like, this team's really good because they're winning all these games. The dust settles. They had the number 1 seed. Now, Eli ended up beating them in the AFC Championship game, but they hosted the NFC Championship game after having like a 7-8 year run of embarrassment. I mean, one point in time, Pete Carroll turned them down to stay at USC. It was pretty. Matt Leinart, rumors were that he didn't declare to the draft because he didn't want to go to the 49ers. Like, it was bleak. They were treated like the Jets. Little different New England because it hasn't been that long, but Vrabel clearly has instantaneously made them a real team. Now, they benefit from the schedule, but he's a big-time coach. And it does feel like, are we going to look up? It's like, are the Patriots about to win 12 or 13 games? And like they're in the mix to win the division? And on the flip side, it felt like last week was like the moment when everyone got on board. Is like, is Raheem and everyone in this organization going to get canned at the end of this year? Because they gave the owner, or they got the owner to give $90 million to a quarterback last year that they benched, and then as the highest paid backup in the history of the league, came in a game and looked atrocious. And now it feels like he's kind of coaching for his gig. Not like he's going to get fired midseason, but you go 3-5, like this thing can get away from you fast. So this is like, I've bet against New England as a big favorite over like 2 of the last 3 weeks and been burned. So I'm not going to do it. And there's no way I could trust Raheem Morris. And as of recording this, I don't even know who their quarterback is this week. But I think Atlanta, they lose this game, especially, and don't even cover the spread. They're getting 5.5 points on the road against New England. This thing could get really ugly, Stuckey, really fast.
Yeah, I did play the Falcons. It's a little scary. I mean, on the road, they have not looked like the same team. Now, granted, they looked bad indoors last week. This is just like, this is similar to the Colts. Like, I'm taking my stand here that the market has gone a little bit too far. Now, I bet, let's see, there's still a 6 out there. I would look for the 6 if you can find it. I just think the market's gone a little too far. I mean, like the Patriots were about 7-point favorites last week at home against Dylan Gabriel. Now, obviously, they get upgraded. The Falcons get downgraded. But the Falcons play with Kirk Cousins, who looked lost. There's no Drake London there without 3 or 4 defensive starters. And they just came out in a daze. It happens in the NFL. And this is a spot that I love historically. Teams off a loss by more than 2 touchdowns when they are favored by 7 or more. So the Falcons favored by 7 last week, got blown out. The next week, they're 33-16 against the spread over the past 20 years. 67%. They cover by over a field goal per game. 24-9-1 when they go on the road. After that happens, 10-3-1 against the spread as a road dog of more than a field goal. That's just a fancy way of saying a big favorite got embarrassed. It's the NFL. Teams are never as bad or as good as they look one week. The next week after that happens, usually going to get their best effort. And in this case, the Falcons should be healthier on defense. One of the things that they do best is that they prevent explosive passing plays. They're second in the NFL in that department. That's a huge part of Drake May's game. I mean, he throws an elite deep ball. He's been deadly in that department. Falcons do a good job of preventing those. They also can get some pressure when they're healthy, and they should be much healthier. They do miss Devontae Diablo, their linebacker. They got Bertrand in there. He's just terrible. But they really miss him in the running game, run defense. But New England's run game isn't that great. And this New England defense is not good. They can stop the run, but they have issues in coverage. Their linebackers specifically can't cover. So I think like Bijan out of the backfield. I think that Drake London should be back this week. That's huge. I mean, not having him last week just killed the offense, and then Cousins looked lost and washed. And I think Pitts can have a big day here. They should be able to move the ball. I am expecting Penix back. Looks like he's trending up. I think the defense will be healthier. And, I mean, this is a Patriots team. Look, May is the real deal. And you're right. They're going to win. Most likely, they're going to win double-digit games, assuming they stay healthy. And they've been one of the healthiest teams in the league this year. They've also been pretty fortunate on 4th down, so maybe there's some regression coming there. They're 10 of 12 on 4th down. Opponents are just 3 and 11. Those things are huge swings in games. But this is a team that did lose at home to the Steelers. They did lose at home to the Raiders. You got to keep that in mind. And their wins, they had a really impressive win at Buffalo. Their other wins, the Dolphins by 6. They blew out the Panthers. The Saints by 6. They blew out the Titans. And then they blew out Dylan Gabriel and the Browns. And the Browns defense is just not the same on the road. Dylan Gabriel is not the type of quarterback that's going to throw. The Browns don't have the pass runs. You have to throw on this New England defense. And I think Atlanta does have the personnel, because I'm expecting Penix and I am expecting London back. So I did play Atlanta. Buy low, sell high spot. I'm expecting a max effort, expecting a healthier team. I do think we're getting close to the peak of the market on the Patriots. Now, I could be wrong in that aspect. There are, every year in the NFL, I shouldn't say every year, but most years in the NFL, there's usually a team that the market can't catch up to.
Commanders last year.
Yeah. And they're just, you upgrade them. Like when I upgrade teams, I don't like, all right, I'm going to upgrade them, astronomically in 1 week, right? It's incremental. And you try to make your best guess of how much better this team is than what you thought coming into the season, and your priors still matter up until a point. So sometimes the market can't catch up to a team. And it works on the other end, too, the other end of the spectrum. There's some teams that the market just can't get right of how bad they actually are. And that's why you have a team like the Titans, who are 4-21 against the spread over the past 25 games. It's just unfathomable. And I've been very guilty in the past. I was the head of that train last year. And the market just you can't get them right. There were some Browns teams back in the day that would always take sharp money. I used to bet them all the time, and they just were so bad. But you would say your numbers would be like, all right, this has gone too far. But in reality, it hasn't. The market hasn't bottomed out yet. And there's a chance that we haven't reached the peak on the Colts offense. This really is. And the Colts and the Patriots are very similar. Their offenses have been great. Drake May's been great. Daniel Jones has been great. But they've played like soft schedules. Their defenses have holes. But they're both 6-2 against the spread. They both continue to cover. And maybe we haven't gone far enough yet. I'm taking a stand. I did fade both of them this week. So I did bet the Falcons and the Steelers. Wish me luck.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Hard Rock Bet is the only sports book for whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado. Coming soon to more states near you. We're down to the final stretch of college football. Every game, every rivalry, every upset matters more. So right now, get in on the chaos. Bet just $5, and if it hits, you can take home $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. How do you beat that? Plus, today and tomorrow on Hard Rock Bet, you can bet on college football profit boost for the games. Boost your college football parlay so your bet pays extra winnings. Remember there was might have been Flores year one. So would that have been like 19 or 18 when they were it would have been 19 because they were kind of tanking for a quarterback. I'm pretty sure they got a couple lines that got near 20, maybe over 20 against the Pats. That was, I think that's like the biggest line. And the COVID one's hard because some the teams didn't have quarterback or whatever. But like actual football games, I remember that Dolphins team with Flores got pretty ugly, pretty bleak. I kind of missed that. And I talk a lot of shit about the NBA for tanking. You can't have that. But in the NFL, like every 5 years, have situation like that would intrigue me.
Agreed.
I remember
The biggest point spread ever, by the way.
They got a great punt team. It's like, Bill, shut
up. Broncos-Jags, 2013. The Broncos, I believe, are 27-point favorites. It's hard to even think about.
Wow.
And they ended up winning.
The biggest NFL line of like the last couple decades, probably has to be.
Yes, by far. There was a game where what
was the final score of that game?
35-19, the Broncos won. So the Jags covered. The Jags were 0-5. The Broncos were 5-0. The Broncos had Peyton Manning, really good defense. The Jags were starting Chad Henne, who ended up throwing for 300 in that game, oddly enough. And
that line wouldn't be that big today, would it?
No, that is insane. There was a line. This was a COVID year when during COVID, the Saints went to the Broncos and had no quarterbacks left.
Yeah,
and they had to start a Wake Forest wide receiver at quarterback, and
that game was sick.
They were I think it was plus 17. The total was 34. I ended up betting the over end. I stupidly bet the Saints with a wide receiver at quarterback. He did play some quarterback in college, but
I thought it was Denver that played the wide receiver at quarterback.
Yes, you're right. Because it was Kendall Hilton. Denver. You're right. I got that mixed up. They were playing the Saints and they were catching 17.5 at home. And I ended up betting them and the under, and I think the final score was I want to say it was 28-3 or something.
It was rough. I remember watching because I wanted to see
it. Was one of the worst games I've ever watched.
Those were bleak times. Thank God we're never going back.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of the Broncos, you nailed the Houston game last week. The rest didn't hit them because the 49ers roll out a defensive line that was not capable of taking advantage of anybody. That's not really the case here with the Broncos. The problem is one thing that really stood out in that Niner game is Colton McKivitz. They just gave him an extension, which I think we can debate whether that's smart or not. Because he plays a guy like Will Anderson. Will Anderson looks like he's Derek Thomas or fucking Lawrence Taylor. He was dominant in that game. Now Denver's got a good offensive line, but Houston's defense is really good. I mean, Will Anderson is a monster. You know, that guy. I would love for that guy to be on my squad. It does feel though this offensive line for Houston, and I get they're missing Surtain, who's one of the best players in the league. And I think Riley Moss. I was watching the game last week, and he got like 3 straight PIs. And they're like, "Yeah, he leads the league by a wide margin." I mean,
he got one like right after they said that.
Yeah, he's getting some PIs. But that offensive line, CJ looked awesome, but he had all time to throw. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. I think I kind of like Denver a lot. Now this number has come down. I looked this morning; it was plus 1.5, but it does feel like a matchup game. Tough spot for Houston.
I think I'm going to bet Houston, but I can see the case. I've made this case for the Texans for and against before, and it's the case you just made. Like Stroud, in a way, is a pressure merchant. Like if he is not under pressure because that offensive line is so bad, he can carve up defenses. If he is, and that offensive line is very vulnerable, and you go up against an elite defensive front, like we saw it against the Rams, we saw it against the Seahawks, the entire offense collapses. And you're certainly going up against an elite defensive front in Denver, and they will certainly bring the blitz. Stroud has struggled against the blitz as well. So I wouldn't blame anyone for taking the Broncos with that logic. However, I don't know if Denver's defense can be as effective without Surtain. Like the ripple effects without him are massive. Like he basically takes away one side of the field, takes away your number one receiver, and it allows them to be so aggressive. It allows them to have so much flexibility and aggression. Will they still have that? I don't know. They might play a little. They played a little bit more conservative last week with him, but they had a lead, so it's hard to read too much into that. But it's a big drop off from him to Abrams' drain. And the Texans should have Nico Collins and Christian Kirk back this week. That's pretty big. Broncos also are dead last in the league covering running backs out of the backfield. That's been Woody Marks has given them a little juice in that department. So that's a way that Houston can potentially move the ball. The young receivers for Houston did look a lot better last week. I think they can carry some of that momentum over. And it's not going to take much to win this game. The total's 40 indoors for a reason. These are two great defenses. But at the end of the day, like it's especially if this is at 1, I'm taking Stroud over Nix. I'm taking the Houston defense over the Broncos defense, especially without Surtain, and they're at home. And this is like this Houston defense, they're like similar to the Colts offense. Not enough people are talking about how historically good this past defense has been for the Texans this year. They are number 1 in the league by a wide margin. And they're going to play a lot of quarters. They're going to play a lot of zone. And Bo Nix has been miserable against both this year. And I mean, you look at this Broncos team. Yes, they have 6 wins, but man, have they been lucky. They beat the Titans at home by 1 possession. They beat Jake Browning. They beat Justin Fields by 2 in London. They beat the Giants at home by 1 when they were down 20. They came back from down 17-3 against Philly to win by 4. And then last week they blew out the road Cowboys. It was an impressive win. Nix was impressive, but the Cowboys defense, like if you look at Nix's numbers this year, most of his damage that he's done has come against the Bengals defense, the Cowboys defense, and then the Giants defense and they didn't do anything until the fourth quarter when the Giants lost all their defensive backs.
This is a big spot for Bo Nix. I mean, this is if you're going to take Denver seriously, he plays well, then you feel good. And
he doesn't even play well. Like you just got because the Denver's defense is like the Houston offense is not going to light the world on fire any week. I mean, even last week they were up at one point in that game, 450 to 150 in yards. They had the ball the entire, and then it's like a 1 possession game. You're like, what the hell is going on? So Nix doesn't even have to be great, but he can't be a disaster. And he's had games where he's a disaster, but it's still okay because the Denver defense is so good. And and they're playing against a defense that's not elite. Well, this is an elite defense. There is no Surtain. So I'm going to go with Houston. But your hypothesis and your premise on just saying, like, look, the offensive line is going to hold up, that's going to be the difference. I can't follow you for that logic.
Okay, let's get to the main event. Chiefs at Buffalo. Obviously, Buffalo has played really well against them in the regular season over the years, but they have never beat them in the playoffs, right? 0-4. I don't know. To me, it's hard not to love the Chiefs in this spot. They go in, they win. Not only would Kansas City be one of the hottest teams in the league, it'd be hard to see them like, yeah, they're probably going to win the AFC again, assuming they stay healthy, because the quarterback looks awesome. Their offense is dramatically better with Rice back and Hollywood Brown in there. Their running backs are all playing well. They avoided disaster. Pacheco just, sprained his knee, and, you saw like him be pretty ecstatic when they checked it out for the ACL and everything was good on the sideline with the trainer. I don't know. I know Buffalo dominated last week, but I mean, it's like, what do you even make of that? As someone that had Buffalo at the beginning of the season to go to the Super Bowl, I don't know. It just feels like I just don't think their personnel is good enough on defense when the dust settles, and that they're going to get a big time test this weekend. Because I think, over the years, I don't know if the Chiefs, the motivation hasn't quite been the same in the regular season as the way they obviously get up for the playoffs. I think they're going to take this game pretty seriously. They got to bye. I would expect the Chiefs a little kitchen sink game here. Like, hey, motherfuckers, we're back, fully back. I think you're going to get a full, Mike Tyson-like right swing from Andy Reid this week with some stuff they got in their back pocket, especially after last week. You could tell after like the third, it's like this, they just called off the dogs. You've been on this forever. Andy is not a college coach. He's not running it up like Signetti. I think this week, Buffalo better be careful because I think the Chiefs are going to come in firing.
Yeah, I wish I had a hot take on this game. I really do. I mean, like, in order to bet the Chiefs here, like Chiefs minus 1.5, 2, like, you'd have to make this, like, just from a pure projection, if this is how you bet, you'd have to, like, to show value in it. I'd have to make them, like, at least over a field goal, like, after adjusting for home field. Like, so we're saying, like, the Chiefs are, 4.5 points better than the Bills in order to, like, that would be enough for me to say, okay, I'll lay it here.
Well, what would this line be if game was at Arrowhead?
No, I'm just saying, like, I guess it would
probably doing that in a neutral field the way you're looking at it, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, yeah, on a neutral field, that's how much better they would have to be, and then you adjust for home field. And I would make it slightly over a field goal, then I could justify taking this price. Now, the Bills have defensive injuries, like Ed Oliver going on IR. Their linebackers are banged up. Their safeties are banged up. And that's been the biggest issue for them, their defense. And they really haven't played anyone this year. Or they lost to the Patriots. They should have lost to the Ravens. The rest of their games have been, you're playing the Jets, the Dolphins, the Panthers. So it's hard to really get a true read on just how troubled this defense is, especially with some of their injuries up front. Now, their run D is very susceptible, but that's not really the Chiefs' game. But also, they can be attacked. Like, their safeties can be attacked. Their linebackers right now can be attacked over the middle of the field. And that's somewhere where the Chiefs certainly can take advantage of. I do think, like, in a way, we're at the peak on the Chiefs. Like, we've seen their offense. Like, they're laying 2 points at Buffalo. And, like, how much higher can you get on them? I don't think you can. I mean, the Ravens were considered number one in the league coming into the year, the top dog. They were favorites to win the Super Bowl. And they weren't even this high in week one at Buffalo. So, yeah, I just can't get there. And, like, look, it's Josh Allen at home. They lose, like, once every 18 months at home. And it did already happen this year. Maybe that's their one loss. Now, the Chiefs' offense is trending up, but let's remember they played the Washington defense, which had, like, everyone hurt, no pass rush. They played the Raiders when Crosby got hurt, and the Raiders are just a mess. And, like, that's their last 2 weeks. So it has looked a little, and look, they've had offensive line injuries. Not going to matter against the Raiders without Crosby and Washington last week. If there's one thing Buffalo can do, it is they can get pressure. But to me, this just this just screams who's going to have the ball last. Allen's going to put up a fight. He uses legs a ton. He averages like 10 attempts per game every time they play the Chiefs. So he's going to extend drives. He's going to put his body on the line. Like this is an all-out Allen game too. I agree with you. You're going to get the kitchen sink from the Chiefs. Like these games are even more important for them. It's not like they have a 5-game lead in the division, right? Like their division, they started behind the 8 ball. Like these games are very important all season.
This is a massive game for both teams. I mean,
yes, huge because the Bills also now their Bills are used to just running out of the division. They have the Patriots, so for playoff positioning, for everything. So I think you get both teams' best shot. I think it'll be an awesome game to watch. If either team goes up like 10, I'll be betting the other side live most likely, because either quarterback will easily bring their team back in the game. And yeah, I think this will just be a heavyweight fight that will be awesome to watch. But I don't really have that hot of a take. But the Chiefs' offense might just be too much for the current state of this Bills defense. But then again, like the Chiefs' run D is vulnerable this year, and that's what everything starts for the Bills with their run game, which I think they'll be able to get going here. And then like it's just going to be Allen making plays, Mahomes making plays. Like there's not much mystery here. It'll be fun to watch. I'll probably look to bet it live.
Okay, let's do the quick primetime games. I love Seattle in this spot. Coming off a bye, Washington licking their wounds. Just had a road Monday night game at Arrowhead. Their defense looks so bad. I mean, the guy's been a legendary player, but God, Bobby Wagner looks slow. And anytime you're middle linebacker, like this isn't 1992, you're playing all these teams that are spreading you out. All these running backs and tight ends can really catch. You kind of get exposed in space fast. And I just think Seattle. You've been on this guy for a long time. If McDonald was an offensive coach, I mean, I think Seattle has a very good chance if they can get healthy. Like if they are healthy, like they're going to be really good. Now Sam Darnold's going to have that kind of elephant in the room. Like what's he like in the big games? But holy shit, he does look good. I think Seattle. I think Washington. We talked about it last week. They're in major trouble. Now they're in real trouble. And like to me, I don't even think they're in trouble. They're just not very good this year.
Defense is bad. The offense is banged up. And that fourth down variance that I was talking about before there it's coming back to bite.
Andy Reid just said it. He's like, it was a difference in the game. They went 0-2, and we got some big spots. We turned them into touchdowns, and
yep, that was it. And last year they were getting all those fourth downs. Now there's no McLaurin. Tunsil's banged up. Daniels is going to play, but how healthy is he? Is he fully mobile? Obviously, when he is fully mobile. But like he hasn't been the same quarterback as last year. A little bit of a sophomore slump, but also like the timing's been off. He didn't get to work with the receivers leading up to the season, and every week there's different receivers playing. So like this offense is nowhere close to where it was last year. Now teams kind of know their tendencies, know what Cliff and company want to do with Daniel. So it's just not the same operation. And then the defense you mentioned, like Lattimore, he's over the hill. You mentioned Wagner. That against the Seattle play action, Wagner is going to be in trouble there. And Washington can't generate any pressure because of all their defensive line injuries. I mean, they've been decimated up front, and their secondary wasn't very good to begin with. And now you have Seattle coming in who can generate pressure without blitzing at one of the top rates in the league, and their secondary is only getting healthier. You mentioned coming off a bye, Washington, short week. The Seahawks under McDonald have been tremendous on the road throughout his tenure. The only thing that gives me pause here is like just the uncertainty with McLaurin, which would lead itself to it would only help the Seattle side. Is this the bottom of the market on Washington? It isn't like a save your season all in spot. Like you lose this game at like your season it's close to done. Like just so, and are we like at the peak on Seattle? I'm not sure we've gotten there yet, but that would be my one concern. But I do think Seattle has significant advantages on both sides of the ball against this very beat up Washington offense that it just doesn't have the same dynamic without McLaurin stretching the field. And it doesn't enable you to do a lot of the things that they want to do. And just the offense in general hasn't been as good because of some of the reasons that I mentioned before. So yeah, I think Seattle's a real player in the NFC.
One thing looking at their stats from 2024 is they were so potent scoring with the run game. I mean, Brian Robinson had 8 touchdowns for him. Uh, Jaden Daniels ran for 6, and he led the team in rushing. And McNichols and Eckler combined for 8 touchdowns. It's like right now they're depending on the 7th round rookie who is talented. I know people in the NFL that liked him a lot, but their running game was just a potent kind of. It was a group unit. It's not like they had Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, but led by Jaden Daniels, they were pretty. And losing Eckler, I mean, he was really good out of the backfield. It just is a threat to catch the ball. Like they're just not. Like their offense doesn't seem very well rounded. They can throw some bombs to Terry McLaurin, but that's about all they got.
And he's not even going to be in there this week. Yeah. It's nowhere close to the same unit. They caught lightning in a bottle last year. And not to say Daniel's not going to be great, but this year it looks like it's heading toward a lost season. And the league is they're going to have to adjust because the league has adjusted to a lot of what Cliff was doing with him last year. And they've just been decimated by injuries. Like sometimes that's what happens, and you lose a season because of it. I mean, look no further than your 49ers. I mean, I don't even trying to keep track of the 49ers, who's playing, like it's a full-time job. Like last week they go in completely decimated, and then like Winters and Collins, Elliott, like all these other guys get hurt. The list of who's on IR and who's questionable every week. And then you don't even know who's starting at quarterback every week.
They're a team that at this point in time, it's like, just stay away from. Like, I couldn't even bet them against the Giants because it's like, I don't know. I mean, the
Giants also have a ton of injuries too.
Well, exactly. But the other thing with the 49ers, like they can lose guys during the game. So like all of a sudden it could be halftime. It's like, Kittle's out and McCaffrey's questionable to come back in. So you just, at any moment, it could completely unravel. That's a game that to me is a stay away game. Because like, the Giants suck, the Niners. I don't know who's playing for the Niners. Ricky Pearsall ain't.
Mess of a game. I agree. That game is funny. Now it's funny that I mean, credit to Kyle for getting them to 5-3, but it's hard to see
if he wins 9 games, it's pretty impressive. Given that,
he should be in the running for Coach of the Year. Like if he gets them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Purdy. I'd put his over/under game started this year like under 4 right now. Like it ain't looking pretty.
You don't think he plays this week? You think it's Jones?
Yeah, and even if he does, like I could see it being like testing it out. Because this isn't a fixable thing. You know, it's not one of those.
It's linger.
So it's like it's going to linger, and if he can't run around, then you just go with Mac Jones is going to continue to start. Like if we saw Purdy against Jacksonville, he was like 50% of himself, and that's when it didn't even feel as bad, clearly, as it's felt lately. I think there was a story out a couple weeks ago that who were they playing? Oh, Atlanta. He had done a workout earlier in the day on Sunday because they had the night game, and they were hoping like that would propel him into the following week to get last week in Houston, and I don't think it felt good. I mean, these fucking turf toes he can't function. So it's like I have, if you tell me Purdy has just never seen the rest of the year, I'd believe you. I think the Niners just try to claw their way to 9-ish wins and just see where the dust settles. Get in the playoffs. It would be an impressive season by Kyle.
Agreed. Yeah, I think the best thing that they can do is claw into the playoffs, and you get to see who of these young defenders are worth keeping around and where your holes still exist.
Okay, we'll end with this game Monday night. I don't know if when the schedule came out, the schedule makers were smiling on this one or like, yeah, we can't hit them all. Dallas hosting the Cardinals. This feels like a game from like when we were like in junior high. These teams, I feel like the Arizona Cardinals and Dallas, they used to be in the same division. They used to play each other a lot.
Yeah.
Back
Jake Plummer was probably the quarterback.
Yeah, back in Tempe. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if Kyler plays, he's never lost in this stadium. That'll be something. This has a feel of Troy being pissed off in the booth, not because he's mad at any of the quarterbacks, because he has to call this game. Now, granted, it's probably an easy travel for him. He just gets to drive right to the stadium. But I don't know. If you tell, I like the Cardinals more if Jacoby's starting than if Kyler's starting. But this game's thank God it's Monday night, or most people wouldn't be paying attention to this thing.
Yep, we're all going to watch. We know that. So we can all complain about the matchup, and then we'll all have it on our TV. So, and the NFL knows that. They have us, and they always will. Like, honestly, is there a matchup that this Monday night the NFL could put on and you would not watch? Like, let's say Titans host the Saints. Are you watching?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they know that. And I know that. But
now I have to. That would be if I didn't do this for a living. Let's say I was in the insurance world, but love football as much as I love football, so I'm still watching a lot of games. That could be one where if my wife was like, "Hey, you want to go get dinner?" Where you could, there would be if like the Bills are playing the Chiefs. I say no. The Titans Saints, like it can get bad enough. If I didn't do this for a living, I would do other things.
Yeah.
If I was asked to do them. Now, if I wasn't asked to do them, I would watch.
Yep. All right. Well, in regards to this game,
that's how college football works for me a little bit. Like sometimes Saturday night, no way I'm missing this, and sometimes like, yeah, we can go get dinner or whatever.
Got it. Yeah. In regard to this game, it's sitting right now pretty much used 2.5. I want a 3 with Arizona. Basically, I mean, Dallas's offense is a different animal at home. They're a juggernaut at home. Like they're just gonna score in that dome indoors, no matter who you are. Now, Arizona's defense is going to be healthier here. They've been dealing with a lot of corner injuries. They should be healthy on that front. They do a good job of preventing explosive plays. It's a well-schemed defense. But Dallas is going to put up their points. However, like, how is Arizona not going to score? I don't even care if it's Murray or Brissett. The offenses look better with Brissett. It doesn't matter. It's the Dallas defense. Like the Dallas defense is, and they have more injuries. The Dallas defense made Bo Nix look like Montana last week. I mean, it is absolutely atrocious. And so I think Arizona can keep up. And I do think that there's if I could bet Arizona and make Dallas beat me by more than 3 with their defense, I'd be happy to do it, because I think there is a difference, a perception difference between like who Arizona is and then who they actually, what people think they are. Because this is a team that easily could be 5-2. Now they're 2-5. They lost 5 straight. They start off the year 2-0. They lose to San Francisco by 1 on the road because they dropped a wide open pass. Easily could have been a win. Arguably should have been. They lose to Seattle. Probably got outplayed. They lose to Seattle on the final play of the game because they messed up the kickoff. They lose by 3. They lose to the Titans in one of the most bizarre losses you'll ever see, because they dropped the ball going in the end zone, and then there was an interception fumbled for a touchdown. They lose by 1. Then they play 2 teams that everyone is saying are contenders for the Super Bowl. They play at Indianapolis without their receivers, still with defensive injuries, with Brissett starting. They lose them only by 4. And then they play the Packers and only lose by 4. So they've had 5 losses in a row by a combined 13 points. Like, they're in every game. It doesn't end. Well, some of them have been at Indianapolis, who's been blowing out everybody, and against Green Bay, who's one of the best teams in the NFL, in my opinion. So, like, they're going to be around in this game. They're frisky. They're coming off a bye. They are well schemed on defense, and like
they have their point differential is -1. The 49ers at 5-3 is -4.
That's hilarious. What are the the Bucks probably built some last week.
Yeah, the Bucks are 19. So I mean, but for a 6-2 team with a +19 is not great. For example, Seattle and the Rams are +57 and +58, right? The Broncos are +56. Like most good teams, the Colts are shit +116.
The Steelers are even
0.
Yeah, that just makes perfect sense.
So the point is, like, the difference between the Cardinals and the Niners at 5-3 and 2-5 is probably 2 or 3 total plays.
Yeah, right? Which is what football is.
Which is the NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's betting too. I always tell people, like, that you bet on a football game, and coaches say the outcome of the game is usually determined by like 4 or 5 plays. Your bet is usually determined by maybe 4 or 5 plays. So a couple turnovers, did you get them or not? 3 or 4 fourth downs, did they go against you or not? Those are enormous swinging plays, and
could be a field goal hitting the upright or not.
Field goal hitting the upright, and you just have to. You love football. You got to live with, like, sometimes you're going to run so bad on all those things happening, and then sometimes you're going to run really well, and you won't even notice because you'll say, like, "How was the right call?" But whenever all those are going against you, you're like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, if I can get 3 here with Arizona, this team can play with anybody, and this Dallas defense just offers no resistance whatsoever. Arizona should be able to do whatever they want. And at least should be an entertaining game. Should be a lot of offense. So, yeah,
Okay,
I'm looking for the 3 with Arizona.
a couple quick college things before you get out of here. We brought him up last week, and I just saw it now with the rules, like kind of fake little extension. It makes his buyout a little bit more expensive, and he's also playing Nebraska. He's playing USC this week, which he could lose at home. The Jeff Brom is now the betting favorite to be the next coach, or the on Pauly market. So like the I guess, is that betting favorite or just where the odd market makes him?
Prediction markets, yeah.
Yeah, prediction market. So Jeff Brom is currently the favorite to be the Penn State head coach. He plays Virginia Tech this week. Pretty big favorite. Obviously, there was a story last week about Sark, and he got pissed off that he was going to go to the NFL, and his team barely pulled a game out of the crevices of his butt. And now he plays Vandy, where he's an underdog. Or I guess Vandy's
small
the
favorite.
underdog. Yeah, small favorite at home. But I mean, are you hammering Vandy in that spot?
I don't like it's. I kind of like the under in that game. The Texas defense is super elite. I don't know if Arch is going to play. I think he is, though. So if you like Vandy, and Vandy's a machine as an underdog under Pavia, wait. I do think that line is at 2.5 now is going to get to like 3.5. Texas has one of the best safeties in the country too. He wasn't supposed to play this week. He practiced yesterday. I think he's also going to play. And this is like Texas' season. Like they need this game. Vandy surprisingly doesn't. Now if they don't win,
if Texas loses Stuckey, they got like 7-5 written all over them too.
Yeah, they're done. Now Vandy, if they lose this game, they will have to win out. And it might be a game at Tennessee to end the year to see who goes to the playoff between those two teams. That would be electric. I think that's at Neyland Stadium. But this is a tough spot for Vandy. Like they just went, this is their 4th.
Do they normally play that game like Texas A&M, or Michigan, Ohio State? Is that the last game of the season?
Yeah, but usually doesn't mean it.
Noticed. Yeah,
Tennessee's usually a huge favorite. It means something in the state, but
it's like the Egg Bowl, like whatever. Yes. Auburn, Bama, they play that week. I've never even noticed.
Yeah, most people wouldn't. It's usually a completely irrelevant game.
That's pretty sick. That'll be a big moment in Tennessee history, like the state.
I think there is a good chance that that's an elimination game or a play-in game, depending on how you look at it.
Especially if Tennessee wins this weekend, huh?
Yeah. Now, if Tennessee loses, they're probably done, and then they could knock out Vandy. Then I actually like Oklahoma in that game, catching 3. I think it's gonna be a close game. Tennessee's offense has played like their wins in the SEC have come against 3 teams who are 0-13 in the SEC. They have not faced a top elite defense yet. The Bama's defense this year is not elite. Georgia's defense is not elite. And if you look at like sack rate and pressure rate, all the teams they face, there's only one in the top 50 in sack rate. It's Alabama. They're 45th. Oklahoma's number 1 sack rate, number 1 in havoc. So like Aguilar gets in trouble when you can pressure him. I think the Oklahoma defense is going to come to play here. I'm taking the field goal. It's going to be close, though. It's going to be electric atmosphere.
If Mateer hadn't got hurt and been playing at a high level, there's a decent chance Oklahoma's undefeated right now. He got injured, and then he just turned into a different quarterback.
Yeah, and he looked a little healthier last week. They found a run game recently.
The kind of fell apart down the stretch a little bit. Could have been rust, I thought.
Yeah, they're hard to rate. I will admit that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm holding them up because I gave them a pass for the Texas game because Mateer obviously shouldn't have been out there. And then he was still like recovering. So they're difficult to rate, but the Tennessee defense is very bad. It does look like their best corner, Colton Hood, their only good corner, is going to play, but they're missing their 2 who were going to start. Ricky Gibson and Jamal McCoy is probably going to be a first-round draft pick. They haven't played all year because of injury. They really missed them. But you can move the ball in this Tennessee offense. Kentucky had their quarterback last week had 5 touchdown passes, and they were just everyone's moving the ball up and down the field. So I think the difference will be Oklahoma's defense, but should be a good game. Vandy, I think, weighed on it. I do think it'll be lower scoring, but this is Vandy's like 4th huge game in a row for a team that's not used to like those efforts, and this is Texas' season at home. But wait on that for Vandy because I do think that Arch will get ruled in and Taff, and then it'll probably close at 3 or above. And then, what is the other game you asked about? Was that it?
Yeah, that was pretty much. I mean, the other two I wrote down were USC at Nebraska, and Louisville is a pretty big favorite at Va Tech with Jeff Brom getting a lot of love.
Yeah, but I think Penn State would do great to hire Brown. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country. And he wins more big games than anyone. He has more top 5 upsets than anybody. That's what Penn State's been missing. He's an amazing game planner, an amazing play caller. You saw that against Miami.
What's the knock on him? Like, not a huge personality, right?
Yeah. And not a great, like, the recruiting. Like, he's going to need to get someone to do that. Like, Louisville's been building their teams in the portal pretty much every year. Which, like, if you're
he's not Dan Lanning or Ryan Day out there like hammering the pavement.
Exactly. And like, if you want to be who Penn State wants to be, like, Ohio State is not building their team in the portal every year, right? Like, they're supplementing their team, but the same with Oregon. But and that's what the best teams are going to be moving forward. The most consistent is that you have a pipeline, and
you're basically like, well, I'm hiring you to beat Ohio State and Oregon.
Yes. Right? Yeah. But I do think it would be a good hire.
Just compete with them, you know?
Fair. Yeah. Yes. I mean, maybe it's not the best fit for who Penn State wants to be, but I do think whoever hires him, he is a great coach. No, I think the line's about right at Va Tech. USC, Nebraska, no idea. I mean, you have Matt Rule, who's 0-18 against ranked teams, and then you have Lincoln Riley. Maybe he just needs to go to Lincoln, maybe his namesake. Lincoln Riley, his teams can't win on the road against anyone with a pulse when they travel east. USC might miss their backs here, but this Nebraska team has not been that impressive this year. You know, they barely pulled out some wins. They got embarrassed at Minnesota. I thought that was a really poor effort. So I don't know. I don't have a bet in either, but we'll certainly be tuned in. Was there any other game I wanted to mention? Florida, Georgia.
This could be a big week. I've gotten deep this week on the message boards, Reddits, and local podcasts. Oklahoma, their schedule, they could fall apart here. And there's been some buzz that Venables might not be safe and go after the hometown hero, Josh Heupel. Make him a big offer. Like there's, and then all of a sudden, if Josh Heupel went to Oklahoma in a couple months, that would mean Tennessee was open. Texas, I don't think that story was just, Diana's been doing this long enough. I don't think she just completely made it up
out of thin air. Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly the Sark thing's a little weird, and you go 7-5 and you have an unlimited budget. Like Ohio State, Texas, they were just never going to tolerate that. So who's to say Vandy all of a sudden, what if Vandy beats them by double digits? Clark Lee, it's like, hey, they struck oil years ago getting what's his name from North Carolina, more academic, good guy. Would Clark Lee make some sense at Texas? So who's Clark Lee's agent? Jimmy Sexton. So it's like there's a lot going on in the college football world with some of these guys. I mean, I think Clark Lee could really establish himself like, hey guys, I'm doing this in the SC fucking C. So it's like we're at Summerall and some of these guys, like it doesn't get any harder than what I'm doing. He could become like 1B to Lane. You start rattling off some of these, because what he's doing is it's crazier than Signetti because of the teams he's beating now. Like he's just working LSU. It's like he's just gonna work Texas. Like that's where he just wins a game like that against Missouri that's a slugfest. Like this is pretty crazy. It really is.
Yeah, this team used to be a complete doormat. Like literally.
Even Saban's like, okay, I'm just gonna change my tune. I've been used to something. It's no longer the case.
Yeah, they would be like 28, 35 point underdogs in conference play. Like just a complete freebie.
That's why James Franklin got Penn State, right? It's like, how did he just do that at Vanderbilt?
Yeah, yeah. They used to have home games where like it would be just empty, but then sections of the opposing fan bases. Like it was, so it's good to see like that stadium now packed and juiced by the program, and they're putting real money and resources into the program now. Now that they have NIL, because before it was like just an academic institution. They couldn't compete. They weren't paying guys under the table. They couldn't build anything. But now with NIL, they're able to do that. And Clark Lee has been a huge part of that. Yeah, the coaching carousel is nuts this year. Like, where's Lane go? That's going to be a huge domino if he leaves. Do you have Florida, LSU, Arkansas, Penn State, like South Carolina might be open. Va Tech, which is now way down the list. Like,
do you think Venables is safe?
No. Like there's just no patience now with all the money that's here. Like I don't know where all this money comes. It's insane. Like they're just
I know, but
$50
totally.
million buyout. Like these $50 million buyouts. I wish someone would pay me $50 million to go. I know I do this for the love of it, but
All of a
it's
sudden, the
insane.
lacrosse team's not going to have cleats. You know, they're going to go in their locker room. It's like that shit's going to start happening.
Yeah, so the coaching carousel is going to be nuts to watch this all season. I did bet some Florida plus 7.5 against Georgia. You got to like Napier out. They're changing some things on that offense. The defense is still really good. It'll be healthy this week. They were without all their D-backs against Mississippi State. Coming out of the bye, I think that they can jump on Georgia early. And this Georgia defense is not your older brother's dogs. Like they're outside the top 100 in pressure rate, sack rate. They don't have a ton of your regular dudes up front. So Lagway's going to have time. They have weapons on the outside. And Georgia has started slow every game this year. In 5 SEC games, they've trailed by a total of 56-10 combined at the end of the first quarter. That's crazy. They had to come back against Ole Miss. They were almost down 17-0 against Auburn without that blown call. They had to come back against Alabama. They had to come back against Tennessee. They easily could have a couple more losses. Now, what you can do, if you do bet Florida, or even if you don't, is if Georgia does indeed go down, look at Georgia live. Kirby Smart, best in-game adjuster in the sport. This happens over and over again, where if he's down, some adjustments that he makes, he figures out some of the new wrinkles that Florida's going to be using, and then Georgia inevitably comes back. So that's always worth a look. He's won them multiple games this year with his in-game adjustments.
Well, looking at the odds to win the national championships, obviously Ohio State heavy favorite. Is A&M a little undervalued at 9-1? I mean, the talent they have on that team is just like, geez, Louise. Their coaches big time. I'd argue Notre Dame too. I mean, they proved last year. I mean, when you have defense, I mean, A&M had 3 pass rushers that all look like Von Miller. They have abs. They're screaming. I mean, when they were screaming at LSU's guys, I could imagine every dude that's ever played for LSU, especially in the last like 25 years, you had to just be embarrassed. You're like, that's what we used to do to people. Now that this guy's barking at our guy, and you're like, there's no way that guy's going to block him. And then he couldn't touch him. I mean, he barely could touch him. As the guy's coming around the corner like Von Miller, I haven't watched that much A&M, but you were like a year early. You liked him to make the playoffs last year. In their quarterback situation, this guy is way better than he was last year. And defensively, I mean, those pass rushers, holy shit.
Yeah, Cassius Howell, he's a player. I mean, LSU was also, they were starting like a backup center at tackle.
No chance. Shot.
It was bad. But I actually think A&M's the best team in the SEC. I think they're slightly better than Alabama. Like the Alabama defense, like you think about it, everyone's like, like Alabama arguably could have lost to Georgia, right? Georgia had a drop that would have won the game. They arguably could have lost to South Carolina last week.
Arguably, they should have. I mean,
they got a pick 6 early in that game that just bounced right into their hands. Like they got a fumble late to seal the game against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt a couple of red zone turnovers, but that game was back and forth. So like, you know, and they lost to Florida State earlier this year. It's a very good team. Now this year, I think the potentially super elite team is only Ohio State. Indiana might not be too far behind, but I think a team that could potentially, because you're going to need to score, you're going to need a dynamic offense to beat Ohio State. I think Texas A&M is one of the handful that might have that. And they're well coached. They have good special teams. And the most important thing to me is they're elite in the trenches. They have one of the best offensive lines in college football. Their defensive line, as you mentioned, with Howe and company, they can get after the quarterback. Now, there's some deficiencies in the back end, but I trust Elko to continue to improve that defense. He's more hands-on this year. But yeah, with that offense, with their running game, their receivers, Concepcion, Graver, and the way that Reed is playing, if I had to bet one national title future at like current odds, that's probably who I would look at.
I love Elko too. It's like, you know, you see DeBoer, he clearly, you know, got the old jab to lose some LBs over the last several years and looks way skinnier than he once did. Yeah, Elko's just your classic kind of throwback. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
I'm eating pizza in Copenhagen and coffee and film. That's we don't have enough Elkos roaming around. I mean, you look, Ryan Day's like dyeing his beard. Freeman's never taken a day off the weight room. It's like I appreciate Elko.
Yeah, he's definitely a throwback. Yeah, his diet is more
Ah,
film.
big time. Film, pizza, coffee. Okay, Stuckey. Let's enjoy the weekend, and I will talk to you next week.
All right, brother. Have a good one.